Duckweed is an interesting plant that usually doesn't cause problems in a pond. In our typical pond, the wind action is enough to keep it blown over to the side. Where it becomes a really serious problem is in ponds that are almost totally protected from wind. Ponds that are down in a little hollow or surrounded by trees. In that situation, it can be a very bad thing because it spreads rapidly, reproduces rapidly, and covers the entire surface of the pond. Never let any plant cover the surface of a pond entirely. When you do that, you're preventing light from getting into the water column. That prevents photosynthesis, that prevents oxygen production, and that leads to a fish kill. So don't let it get to a point as bad as in this pond. Take steps to have it identified by your county extension office and see what you can do in the way of an herbicide application or other control measures. For duckweed, one of the most practical things to consider in the way of herbicides would be reward. So please do get after it early. Once it becomes thick and covering the entire pond to a depth of several inches, you are facing a major labor in applying something and trying to thin that out to get foliar coverage by the herbicide. Water willow is a plant that we often find along the edges of lakes and ponds. It is sometimes planted on purpose because it is excellent for shoreline erosion problems. You may not have ever noticed it in your pond, but if you do, I would encourage you to take a closer look at it because in the middle of the year it will develop some very beautiful but tiny blossoms that remind you very much of an iris or an orchid. But should you find it a problem in your pond, you might want to visit with your county extension office about some herbicides for spot control or perhaps larger areas. An aquatic 2,4-D or Aquamaster are two that I would consider thinking about, but as always, you need to make sure that you do not overlook the withdrawal times for certain purposes such as swimming or livestock watering. So do visit with your county extension office if you have problems with this or any other aquatic plant. There's a temptation to use an aquatic herbicide that you might be using on your field or in your yards on aquatic sites. I recommend against that in general. There are some herbicides that have the same active ingredient yet are much more toxic to aquatic life because of a difference in the formulation and in the surfactants that are used. The glyphosates are one case in point. You need to use an aquatic glyphosate and not use the standard glyphosate when you're treating a pond edge.